Being on this. Good evening on this wonderful day, October 13th, 2022. Welcome, members of the committee. All right. Can we get a roll call vote to establish a quorum, please?
Yes, sorry, one minor technical difficulty. Okay, so roll call vote, Councilor Gomez Moacad,
I'm muted here.
Chair Lathan,
Here.
Lena Webb,
Here.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Here.
and Sean Tierney. Looks to be absent, so that would be 4 attending, 1 absent.
All righty, thank you. All right, pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting of the Traffic Commission will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, audio-video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive records of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the City of Somerville's website. Just want to go over some general ground rules that we have for this commission, Traffic Commission. Listen to the other side, focus on issues, not personalities, avoid questioning motives, and please, let's be polite. All right, moving into item number 1, acceptance of the minutes from the September 8th, 2022 Traffic Commission meetings. I also want to add on to item number 2, acceptance of the minutes from September 21st, 2022 Traffic Commission meetings. May I get a motion on items 1 and 2, please, to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve, Chair Lathan.
And I'll second that motion.
May we get a vote to approve items 1 and 2, please?
Yes. Councilor Gomez Moacad,
Here.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
that is 3 yes and 1 abstain.
Wonderful. That has been, items number 1 and 2 have been approved. Item number 3, request for handicap parking on 24 Albion Street. Who is here for the administration to discuss this particular item? Does anyone have any information on this particular request?
Chair, it appears that that the ADA coordinator is not here, but she did send us an email. asking
Sorry,
if-
Suzanne, Adrian is actually in the
Oh,
audience and
okay.
she should be able to unmute herself now to talk.
Okay,
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chair and Traffic Commission. I come to this commission recommending for an accessible parking space to be placed at the residence or for the resident at 24 Albion Street. I've looked at it and reviewed the application, and everything meets the requirements and is in working order. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item from the committee? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve or deny, please, for item number 3, request for handicap parking at 24 Albion Street?
I can make the motion to approve, Chair Lathan.
Great.
And I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. Can we get a vote to approve on item number 3, request for handicap parking at 24 Albion Street?
Yes. Councilor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
and Lieutenant Rymel.
Yes.
That's 3 yes and 1 abstain.
All right, item number 3 has been approved. Moving on to item number 4. Request, oh my God, I felt like water the rabbit. Request to convert approximately 40 feet of parking opposite 9 New Hampshire, Washington Street, currently designated 2-hour except by permit, 8 a.m. to 2:30 a.m., permit parking only 2:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. to accessible parking. Who is here to discuss this item?
Adrian Pomeroy, the ADA coordinator, should be unmuted now.
Good evening again. Thank you. This motion was brought upon some feedback that I believe our parking and mobility departments received when they were out getting some other community feedback. And I come to this committee recommending this change. Thank you.
Any discussions or questions from the committee member on item number 4? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve or deny item number 4?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second, Lieutenant Rammel?
I'll second that.
Wonderful. Can I get a roll call vote for the approval of item number 4?
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
and that is 3 yes and 1 abstain.
All right, groovy. Item number 4 has been approved. Moving on to item number 5. Request for a fire lane at 39 to 41 Oak Street, extending easterly from the existing telephone pole to the edge of the driveway for a distance of 28 feet. Who is here from the administration to discuss this item? Do we have any documentation or any follow-up stuff, Suzanne?
Yes, Jackie, could you put the picture up? This request came from the chief to add this fire lane here on this street for access for the apparatus to get through. As you can see, there is a corner there that the apparatus has to turn, and they felt like it was too close.
All right, great. Any discussion or questions from the committee members? Hearing none. May I request, can I get a motion to approve or deny this particular request for item number 5 for the fire lane at 39 to 41 Oak Street?
I'll make the motion to approve, Chair Lathan. Thank you.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll
Lieutenant
second
Raymond?
that motion.
Great, thank you. All right, can I get a roll call vote for item number 5, please, requesting the fire lane at 39 to 41 Oak Street?
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
and that's 3 yes and 1 abstain.
Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 6. May I get the agenda back up, please? Item number 6, request to convert 2 parking spots adjacent to 2 Loring Street from resident permit parking to 30-minute parking from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Resident permit parking.
Sorry, Jill.
That's right, don't worry.
Sure.
From 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. Who is here to discuss this item from the city or administration?
Chair, I can discuss that. If you want to put that picture up. So this is a request from Counselor at Large Stellis and the store here, Good Vibes. They feel that they do not have adequate parking for their location or the 2 stores adjacent to their location. And they're asking that we do 30-minute parking here for them so that they can, during business hours.
Okay. Questions, concerns, comments from the committee?
Through you to the committee. I'm just curious, what is it replacing? What sort of parking is it changing? Existing parking, is it changing, if any?
Through the chair to to Lena, this is now resident permit parking. And this is just for the daytime hours,
Thank you.
up till 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
I have a question. So who requested this?
It came through Council Stellas, and we met with the store owner as well as economic development. And they were having difficulty, their customers, they felt were having difficulty due to the new hotel that was just built there, and that there wasn't enough adequate parking for the store.
So it was the at-large counselor you said requested this?
Yes,
And so is the ward counselor also available of this, aware of this change?
I believe when I was at the store, they said they had contacted the ward counselor with no
No
reply.
response. Okay,
Yes.
all right, well, all right. They tried. I just want to, thank you.
Suzanne, I missed the spot in question they're talking about. Where is it? Right adjacent to the front of that vehicle there? Or,
Correct. 2 spots right there.
so the front of the car and where the car is now, those 2 spots.
Correct.
So just to stress it, this is for the 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this is Monday through Friday, it's 7 days a week.
That would be Monday through Saturday. There is no
Monday through
enforcement
Saturday.
on Sundays.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Any further discussion or questions? Can I get a motion to approve or deny item number 6, please?
I'll make the motion to approve, Chair Lathan.
Can I get a second?
Chair Lathan, I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. Can I get a roll call vote to please approve item number 6 to convert 2 parking spots adjacent to 2 Loring Street from resident parking to 30-minute parking from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and resident permit parking from 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. This is Monday through Saturday.
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes,
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
and I see that Sean Tierney has been able to join us. Sean Tierney.
Yes.
So that's 4 yes, 1 abstain.
All right, item number 6 has been approved. Item number 7. Holland Ave metered parking at Cedar Street. Let's see, how many bullets do we have? Just one? Okay, regarding the curb on the south side of Highland Ave from approximately 30 feet west to Cedar Street to 70 feet west of Cedar Street. Request to convert 40 feet of 30-minute parking currently signed as no parking anytime per item 6 of the April 2019 Traffic Commission meeting to 2 metered parking spaces. Who is here from the administration to discuss this item?
Chair, this is Brad Rawson. I serve the city as Director of Mobility in Mayor Ballantyne's office. I'll be happy to provide a little background for the committee and ask for Suzanne Rinfret, Director of Parking, to chime in on any crucial issues that I've missed, as well as Deputy Chief Tierney or Councilor Gomez Moacad. Chair, this curb was restricted in terms of parking access as part of the MBTA Green Line Broadway Bridge shutdown in Ball Square back in 2019. The Traffic Commission was asked to approve a temporary restriction to ensure that fire apparatus and MBTA buses could have an adequate turning radius. Folks will remember that a lot of bus movements were diverted down Cedar Street for 1.5 years as the Broadway Bridge was reconstructed. And doing test runs with MBTA and with Somerville Fire, we recognized that additional turning radii were required during that emergency. With the Green Line project wrapping up, we are ready to recommend to this commission that that curb use be restored to motor vehicle parking. Mobility staff, parking staff have worked with Somerville Fire, and our understanding is that restoring the curbside parking will not be harmful or problematic for emergency response. And mobility staff have been working with the city's economic development division and local business owners in this area. And the local business owners are interested in meter parking. Therefore, we are recommending to you all that curb parking be restored for 40 feet. That's illustrated in this diagram here. And that it be restricted as meters to support business activity at this intersection. Happy to answer any other questions and would invite colleagues and commissioners to chime in if I've missed any parts of the history or the outreach. Thank you.
All right, any discussion or questions from the committee members? I just have one.
Chair Lathan, I have a quick question for Director Rawson. I did speak I emailed the business owner to confirm this is, they were supportive of this. And I know this is in front of Hair by Christine. She had asked when this parking would be put back in place. I do want to understand when, I believe your, staff has talked to her. I just want to understand that there is a possibility that when we rework Highland, there might be some shifting of parking. And that was discussed with her as well, because I hate to give parking and then take it away, not giving any foresight. So was that discussed with the business owner?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. Yes, we have been engaged with this business owner as well as many others on the block to talk about both short-term and long-term access. And it is our recommendation that in the short term that the metered parking be restored. The city has not initiated a formal engineering process for the Highland Avenue reconstruction. And if and when we get to that stage of community process and design development, we would be working with all local stakeholders to ensure that appropriate loading, ADA, and metered parking is a part of the future design, even though the city council and the mayor have articulated a vision of a future for one-sided parking on Highland. We believe that is years in the future, and therefore, in the short term, it's really appropriate to provide metered parking here. And continue to work with stakeholders in that long-term visioning.
Thank you, Director Rosen, through the chair. I just, it would be good to, I'm happy to do it as our counselor, say, as we discuss in the future, there might be some modifications to this curve. I think it's important to be very clear and transparent with business owners, constituents of things changing. Because as we know, there's a lot of tension of parking moving and things shifting, and I think we have to be very clear of our intentions. That's my only comment, but I do know the business owner is very happy to have this back.
Director Rossin, I just have a question, and just to clarify for my own understanding. Currently, the space that's marked out with a yellow line, currently that is no parking?
Chair, that is correct. The Google Street View is showing an illegally parked vehicle.
Oh, okay. And the green sign posted, that's a 2-hour?
Yes, Chair. If you zoom in, you'll notice that there's a arrow pointing westbound towards Davis to the right side of this image.
Okay.
So the 2-hour or resident permit parking regulations would begin on the right side of the driveway that's visible in this image.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any more questions or comment? Hearing none. May I get a motion to approve or deny this particular request on item number 7?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
May I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. May I get a roll call vote to approve item number 7?
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
and Sean Tierney.
Yes.
That is 4 yes and 1 abstain.
Wonderful. Item number 7 has been approved, and my dog Sailor approves as well. Item number 8. Marion Street loading zone. Regarding the curb on the east side of Marion Street from approximately 20 feet south of Somerville Ave to 85 feet south of Somerville Ave, I cannot say that word tonight, I'm so sorry. Request to convert a 50 feet time limited loading zone and a 15 feet of residential permit parking to a 65 feet loading zone at all times. Director Rawson, are you here to discuss this item as well?
Chair,
Chair.
actually, Director Renfret will handle this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. So this location, there was a change in business and they have large tractor trailers coming to make deliveries, and they have been blocking the street with these deliveries because of the parking situation there. So we're looking to add the loading zone that will also support the pizza parlor on the corner as well. So this will just make it so the road is not blocked.
Okay, thank you. Discussions, comments, concerns from the committee?
The loading zone will go on the right side of the street, Suzanne. That's where it's going to be now.
Through the chair, yes, Lieutenant Raimel.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's I get calls on this at least 2-3 times a week to go over there and move the vehicles. It is quite often, happens quite often.
Through the chair, Director Renfro, what kind of business is it?
It was a brewery, and I'm awfully sorry, but I do not know for sure what
Okay.
that new business is.
It's not 100% Revel. I was just curious. Okay, thanks.
If I may, through the chair, it's the company Gettier, Getir, Getir, that you see with the delivery in the purple and yellow.
Oh, thank you. Interesting. They make deliveries by bicycle, but get their product through a trailer truck. Okay.
I have a question. When it says at all times, so this is 24/7, even overnight?
Through the chair, yes, but it will have a 5-minute passenger and a 20-minute commercial.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve or deny item number 8, please?
Motion to approve.
See that? Can I get a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Can I get a roll call vote for item number 8, please? The Merriam Street loading zone.
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
Sean Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, 1 abstain.
Wonderful. Item number 8 has been approved. All righty. Moving on to item number 9, Ball Square Daylight Support. This has some bullets here. So we have regarding the curb on the north side of Broadway, approximately 55 feet east of Bristol Road to 80 feet east of Bristol Road. Request to convert a metered parking space to accessible parking space. I'm going to read all these and then we can discuss. Regarding B, regarding the curb on the north side of Broadway from approximately 100 feet east of Bristol Road to 140 feet east of Bristol Road. Request to convert a metered parking space and an accessible parking space to a 40 feet loading zone at all times. I almost said landing like we were landing a plane. Regarding the curb on the north side of Broadway from approximately 30 feet west of Bristol Road to 50 feet west of Bristol Road. Request to remove a metered parking space to extend the adjacent loading zone by 20 feet. Who is here to discuss item number 9, A, B, and C, please?
Chair Lathan, I can discuss that. Suzanne Renfret. So if we can break this down, in the first one, A would be we're basically moving the accessible spot to the spot that's closest to the intersection. So it will have now better access to a ramp and easier access for somebody that needs that accessible space to be able to get up onto the sidewalk. The second is to remove 1 meter so that we remove 1 meter, and now we've moved the accessible spot to create a loading zone. And the reason for this is that we had to move the loading zone that was in the location because of the daylighting, which it was too close to the crosswalk. So now that will just move up a space. So it is a net loss of 1 metered parking space. The part C is the space that is in front of the Ace Hardware store, which is up closer to Bristol. And with the daylighting, that loading zone was already a smaller loading zone. And with the daylighting, it did restrict the parking within 20 feet of that intersection. So the 1 metered space that we are taking is so that we have a decent sized loading zone for people to go access the store and load and unload.
Thank you. Questions, concerns, comments from the members of the committee? Yes.
So so it's, at first I want to thank Director Rossen and Rinfred, because there have been a lot of questions and concerns about these changes from the business owners, and they've put a lot of attention to it, that there's still a little bit of, so one of the things, I know this is for approval today, but the businesses feel like they need a little more time to digest this. So I want to talk a little bit, first I want to comment on some of the changes. So the first one being the loading zone in front of the paint store and Amal Nicoli. Today we got an email, I think Director Rippert and Director Rossen saw this, of a trailer truck makes deliveries on a, I don't know how frequent it is, and I don't know if Director Rossen, your staff has gotten this documented, but they do have a trailer truck make deliveries there. And today the trailer truck was parked right on the bike lane. When the daylighting was put there, the white posts are there. So we fixed one safety concern, but we created another one, and that's a concern. I believe Director Rossen discussed making the space larger to allow a trailer truck to go there, which would be a way, but I think we would have to play a little bit with the posts of the way, you know, trailer trucks need more space to move in and out. So I don't, I just want to make sure, like, I would feel very uneasy in a trailer truck trying to get out backing when they have such poor visibility and a bike is going down that bike lane. So I have some concerns about that. So that's my concern and on that side. And then it would go to, so today we're talking about the area right in front of Amal Nicoli, correct? And then when we go to the other side, I just want to confirm that conversations, I think moving the accessible spot to the place where it is, it's the right decision. I really appreciate that change. But then I don't know the capacity of that loading zone. If we could put if we talk to the business owner, because Neighborhood Produce does get a lot of deliveries. Sometimes they'll have 2 trucks there making a delivery at once. And I want to make sure it's not just the size of the truck, that we need to make sure they can, they have the lift of the truck. They have to have a turn. I've seen the owner with a pallet having to go out into the street to make the pallet, make the turn and get up into the curb, which is not exactly safe going down Broadway. So there's a lot of detail here too, because I'm very supportive of the daylighting, and I really appreciate the efforts of both your department and both mobility and parking on this. But unfortunately, we have existing conditions that complicate things. So my question is, I'm uneasy of saying yes to this without knowing, with talking to the business owners and getting more clarity. I know there's an interest to move this along because we have a timeline due to the winter conditions to get things settled. So I don't know how much room there is for businesses to come in and we can tweak things. And I just also don't want to create more unsafe conditions. Honestly, as I'm looking and scratching my head on this, I would literally move the bike lane inward right now to avoid all, because this area gets a lot. Even the dentist the other day had a truck delivering water, like those large 5-gallon water jugs. It's an area, I don't know if because I walk it all the time, has a lot of delivery. The other issue is in front of Amal Nicoli. Now we're removing their hairdresser. They do depend, some of their businesses are not from local. So they do depend on parking. It's important to understand, where do we have parking now? I was driving by Powder House, and I think along the park, we have like 2-hour parking there. So it's hard to see this without the big picture, because then I'm like, oh, okay, look, we have parking here. And it was perfectly empty today. As I was driving, super congested on Ball Square this after around 5 o'clock, and there was like tons of parking there. So I would urge if we can hold this without, so I have 2 questions. Can we just, I need to understand how to vote for this. If I vote for this today, can we make modifications later? Or can we simply hold and let the businesses like, you know, hold a meeting with all of them? We have the Ball Square Neighborhood Association. They can organize very quickly to just get their feedback at least, because I don't want to be creating unsafe. In order to create one safe condition, I created another unsafe condition. So what are my options here? And I'm taking a little liberty here. I'm part of this commission. I'm also the ward counselor, so I don't know if I'm crossing the line in the commission using my ward insight in here. So can someone comment to me as to how best to handle this to make sure the businesses are getting what they need, and I'm not creating unsafe conditions?
Through the chair, thank you, Counselor. So the neighborhood is actually going to end up with a larger loading zone and a safer loading zone, because currently they are unloading between two crosswalks, which is really a dangerous, well, now they're not, because we had a daylight there. So right now there's a very small area for them, if any, for their loading zone, if we keep it with the meters and do not move the accessible spot. So doing this, we would make it a safer condition. Once the other meter is moved up by the paint store, that would give more space for one of those big trucks to pull in. And again, we could modify this next traffic commission as well. None of this is set in stone. We can always change. Anything can be changed. But it would be safer, in my opinion, if we did this now, and if you wanted to revisit it, or once we talk to the businesses and maybe they understood and see it, we do have that green line opening soon, and we just really want to be proactive, as that square is going to be hopefully very, very busy. And we want to make sure it's as safe as possible. We expect that there's going to be a lot more pedestrians down there, a lot more bicycles down there, and keeping it as accessible to everyone as far as sightlines go is going to be very important. If anyone else wants to add to that, Director Rawson or Jackie, please feel free to.
Chair, thank you for facilitating the discussion, and thank you, Counselor. Appreciate your assistance with outreach to the business community and the neighborhood association. Chair, if it's okay, I would love to make sure the commission hears from staff who were involved in block walking and conversations. Not every merchant has been contacted or verified the specific lengths of trucks and frequency. However, Jackie from the parking department and Kate White from mobility have been able to speak with many of our business owners. So Jackie, I don't want to steal your thunder. You were out pounding the pavement, and it may be helpful to get your perspective to the councilor's questions, if that's okay with the chair.
So through the chair, to the counselor's questions, I think this is, based on our conversations with the businesses, will be a step in the direction towards providing the various businesses with spaces they need. But in our conversations with the Ball Square Neighborhood Association and the businesses that we did talk to in person, the conversation was definitely left open for modifications. You know, we don't want to come in and say our solution right now, maybe, you know, maybe conditions change when the green line opens, or businesses come back to us and say, hey, actually, like, we've seen this shift and this is what we think might be better. And so that would be the opportunity to come back to the traffic commission and perhaps amend the regulations to find a compromise or best fit, you know, if it's between loading certain hours and meters certain hours, or, you know, other regulations that they might find is the best solution.
Thank you, Jackie. Through Chair Lathan. So I think the way I want to resolve this is, again, I don't want to take a safe condition and then create another unsafe condition. So I think what I would like is a commitment from mobility and parking to maybe host within next few weeks, a meeting with the Ball Square Business Neighborhood Association to get their input. Explain the way I'm understanding this now is we did have the daylighting. That is a regulation. We removed some illegal parking spaces. It was a surprise. And I would comment that in the future, it would be, I think businesses are feeling more pushed to the, to the wayside, and pushed to changes. And I think they need a little, it would have been nice to have a heads up that we're gonna do daylighting here. Like, I understand some areas are standard, but I think once we get to business like cores or centers, we should have a drawing and inform folks of what the changes are. Because this came at a surprise. Everybody was a bit startled. They're saying the city's throwing this down our throats. I don't think there was an ill will from anybody in here. You are trying to just abide by the law. But I think it also, we need to, as we making these changes, we need to, these businesses, particularly Ball Square with the closing of the bridge, they suffered a lot. I think the Green Line will be a positive change, but it's still, I want to be, and I want to just reiterate that I have probably 7 or 8 of the businesses that are Somerville residents as well. So I want to be extreme. These are folks who are very invested in the community. One of them, lives on Cedar Street, has, she owns the hairdresser, and her kid goes to the Brown. Like, they're so much part of the community, and I think they deserve a spot in being listened to. So sorry to be long and winded, but I think if we can commit, the way I can go back to the constituents to say, look, this is only temporary. We're kind of testing it out. Let's see what works. We have some conditions. Because the daylighting, we eliminated a lot. And I think it did take me by surprise. And I think as you go down Broadway to other ward counts, other business areas, I think it's important. Like I would say, East Somerville is very busy. That those businesses are given a heads up and the ward counselor before we start striping there. It might be that area is a little bit better set up because there's been a lot of modifications to the roads there. But I just ask that you take that into consideration, and that we do, can I say to my constituencies, my businesses here, no, we will sell the meeting. We're just going to test this out, and then we can throw the kinks. I am very worried about, I have the trailer truck that delivers to the paint store. So I asked Jackie that we reach out to them, figure out when these deliveries are coming. And we cannot allow a situation where the trailer truck backs out, because that's a fatality waiting to happen. They have no visibility. A bike is going to come, and just as the team, I can see more and more bikes coming through here. And in fact, I do see a lot of bikes, some of my constituents driving their kids to daycare or camp. So it's even, I'm a little more frightened because there's children. I mean, everybody's very important, but children are also involved. So I just ask that that one take into consideration. And then if the paint store only has a trailer truck come from 8 to 12, then we can switch. That could be only temporary loading zone. I'm trying to make the most use of the curb, and if Amal Nicole has a hairdresser and they tend to rely more on parking, then they can get the parking. So those are the things we need to talk about a little bit, and also understand, it'll be important to understand where we have parking, a big picture, because as I said, Powder House does, that's not a huge walk. And I think I'm okay with telling folks, and for the most part, unless you're handicapped or you're a senior, that you need to walk a little bit to get to your business. Even if I go to assembly, I might need to park by Staples to get to Trader Joe's, so I can't park right in front of Trader Joe's. Even when there's parking, you can't. Or I go to Porter Square to the soup shack, I have to park, I can't park right in front of the place. So I get that. And with that, I will stop to see if anybody else in this committee has any comments. In this commission, sorry.
Committee members, any comments, concerns, questions?
Hi, Chair Lathan. I have a question through you to Suzanne and Brad and Beatriz, Councilor Gomez Mocad. Has there been a strong preference, like that you've heard from businesses, for maintaining the metered parking versus ensuring a loading zone space?
I will defer to Jackie with that, as she was the one that was out there speaking with all the businesses.
Through the chair. So this actually did happen in our block walking, in our meeting with the Ball Square. Originally, we had proposed to extend another loading zone that we had identified as potentially taking a meter on the opposite side from where it's proposed now. So in front of Sound Bites and Ball Square. But in speaking with the businesses on that side, their preference was for meters. And so we heard that from them, and that caused us to, after that meeting, adjust our plans. We heard from Neighborhood Produce, about the need for a loading zone. So on that side, our proposed plan still aligned with the business needs, but on the other side, we saw that it didn't. And so we adjusted our request and removed that meter that we were looking at to maintain that for the businesses. Again, with the expectation that if we continue talking with businesses, if their needs change, if their preferences change, we can always, go back and revisit that section of curb and figure out what does work best.
And through the chair, Lena, I actually held a meeting with the businesses like 2 or 3 months ago to discuss loading zone issues, because I thought loading was getting a little precarious in the area. And when they first approached, it's like, we'd rather not lose parking. But what I'm understanding now is they're so focused on the parking and they don't realize when maybe a loading condition can create an unsafe condition. So this is where we're going to have to do a balance, I think, on what they think they need for parking and making sure we're not creating, I want to avoid the truck parked on the bike lane. And so that's where I think we need to have a conversation on, like, yes, it's ideal that someone can park right in front of your business, but if I can't load, 50 feet away, I have to load in front usually. So that's a balance I think we need to start playing and making folks conscious of. It's a hard one for me as a counselor to tell them, well, no, you can't park right in front. I want your truck to load. So I think it's a cultural change, I think, and I might be unpopular for what I just said, but I want to make sure we are not creating unsafe conditions on our roads.
So Councilor Gomez, you had a request. Is that still a request? You had a Director Rawson for meetings?
Yes, I want Director Rawson if he can commit to having a meeting with the business owners. And again, I'm taking liberties of being a commissioner and a counselor, so I don't know if that's not allowed. But if we can have a commitment to meet with the whole business group, I know there's been the walk to walk, but it'd be great to put everybody in the same room and make sure we explain everything.
Chair,
And I'm
through you-
happy to host that meeting.
Chair, through you, thank you. Yes, our group, our interdepartmental group, which includes mobility, parking, and engineering, will commit to continuing the dialogue with business owners, property owners, and residents. And so specifically in terms of these merchants and these business owners, the answer is absolutely yes. We will show up as often as possible. We will commit to iterating and recommending additional modifications to any regulations to this commission to serve as many stakeholders' needs as possible. And Chair, I also want to acknowledge that larger curb ecosystem that the counselor mentioned. Our staff can take map tools like the one you see on your screen and zoom out a little bit and look at other resources in the neighborhood. So the counselor mentioned sections over by Powderhouse Circle. Another thing that we've heard from Counselor Gomez-Mocad, as well as local business owners, is the importance of the main intersection by the Green Line station. Today on Boston Avenue, we have a seasonal Blue Bikes station at street level that occupies, 60 feet of curb, what used to be 3 metered parking spaces. Our office has been working on a proposal to get that Blue Bikes station off the street and onto a sidewalk condition that will free up more curb space for more metered space. So to Jackie's point a moment ago about the importance for metered parking for many of the merchants, we will look for every opportunity to add to that and balance everybody's needs. So I'm happy to follow up as soon as tomorrow and again next week and again next month.
Okay. Does that suffice? Counselor Gomez Mocat?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And I thought Lena Webb had her hand raised. Sorry, Chair.
Go ahead, Web. Lena?
Thank you, Jill. Through you to the commission. I just have a general kind of procedural question of, in terms of how the businesses are being notified about daylighting. Is it being at least mentioned or emphasized that it is already a law that we are attempting to enforce in, more efficiently? Because it does, at least as far as I know, that already parking is restricted within a certain amount of feet from an intersection. And so I just wonder if it could help with the pain of kind of, we're taking your parking, but actually this is something that was illegal to begin with. And also I do kind of agree that it's such a balance. This is exactly what we get when we, with our narrow streets and so many, not competing, but just equal interests. We need loading, we need parking, and we definitely do not need, 18-wheelers backing up right next to an unprotected bike lane. So I see how this is difficult. And I mean, I would tend to err on the side of safer loading with the obvious daylighting, which is technically mandatory. So I agree, I guess, that there's still a little bit more conversation to be had, but in terms of like prioritizing safety, the daylighting and the loading, I think, is paramount.
Can I, through the chair, can I make a suggestion as we move down Broadway? It'd be good to show a plan to the businesses and saying, this is what we're doing, this is the law, and say, point out spaces, for example, like people like they took this space. Well, that space was technically illegal and they, we don't understand. We had some bad habits. It'll be good to let them know. And then if you have any questions, reach out to us, because we're going to have to start a lot of those illegal spaces, as we know, were being used for loading. So we're going to have to start tweaking things. It's a suggestion that maybe we flyer the businesses and let them know. And I know this is beyond the role of this commission, but I as I said, I'm wearing my counselor hat, but I think that would be very helpful.
Director Rawson, comments on the communication plan?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I appreciate that feedback, and we will be happy to work with our different departments on ensuring between electronic, physical, and flyering notifications that we continue to deploy these tools in a timely fashion so the folks are not caught by surprise and understand the logic of what is being proposed and the timing of potential implementation. So we've taken notes here, and I appreciate the commission's deliberation here.
Unless there's any further comments or questions, I'd like to make a motion to vote on item number 9, A, B, and C, please, to approve or deny.
Since this is my word, I'll make a motion to approve, so I will take full responsibility with the caveat that we will continue looking at this to finesse to the greatest safety of the community.
May I get a second, Lena Webb?
I will make a motion to approve as well.
All right, that is a second. All right, can I get a roll call vote to approve item number 9, A, B, and C?
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
Sean Tierney.
Yes.
That's 4 yes, 1 abstain.
All righty. Item number 9 has been approved. Moving on to item number 10. Highland Ave bus stop at Vinyl Ave. I'll wait for there we go. Highland Ave bus stop at Vinyl Ave, A and B, regarding the curb on the south side of Highland Ave from the western edge of Vinyl Ave to approximately 80 feet west of Vinyl Ave. Request to convert the existing bus stop to 60 feet of 2-hour parking except by permit. Regarding the curb on the south side of Highland Ave from the eastern edge of Vinyl Ave to approximately 50 feet east of Vinyl Ave. Request to convert 50 feet of 2-hour parking except by permit to a 50 feet bus stop. Who is here to discuss this item?
Chair Lathan, I can discuss that. This request came from the city of, the school department. So we recently changed the curb access and moved the crosswalk to the far side of Vinyl Ave. It was on the near side of Vinyl Ave. And because of that, the kids would get off the bus and just use the place that the crosswalk used to exist, that didn't have any curb cuts, and it was actually blacked out. In addition to that, when cars are exiting the concourse, they have to turn right. They cannot take a left-hand turn. So this is pushing the cars into the students that were getting off the bus. The crosswalk was moved to the far side. So we've now moved the bus stop to the far side. So it makes it a more natural crossing. And in addition to that, it makes it a safer crossing because 1, they're in the crosswalk, and 2, cars aren't going to be turning into them when they're exiting the concourse. This was a request of the high school principal because they saw this as potentially a very dangerous situation.
Discussions from the committee members, questions, concerns? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve or deny item number 10, please? Lena Webb,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Lieutenant Reinl.
Second that.
All right, may I get a roll call vote for item number 10, please? Highland Ave bus stop at Vinyl Ave, A and B.
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
Sean Tierney.
Yes.
That's 4 yes, 1 abstain.
Item number 10 has been approved. Moving on to item number 11. Discussion of an inquiry received regarding the parking regulations on Professors Row and Packard Ave. I believe Director Renfred, are you here to discuss this item?
Yes. We received a public request about this, the regulations on Packard Ave, as well as the regulations on Professors Row. I did some investigation, and Jackie, if you want to put that up, we found that the regulations on Packard Ave were approved by the Traffic Commission many years ago for resident permit parking to be enforced only for the specific hours. I'm sorry, I could just see that. Jackie, could you make that just a little bigger? From 1 a.m. until 8 a.m. for resident permit parking only. This was approved by the Traffic Commission back in 1996. That those signs have been there since 1996. It's a regulation that has always, as far as from 1996, has been there. The other location was Professors Row, which is also a public street, and that was deemed a special district in our ordinances. And that's part of Tufts University. And Tufts University takes control of that street and regulates that street. We do not do any enforcement on that street. It's all enforced by Tufts University.
So Director Renfred, as part of the discussion, we're just discussing the letter. We're not making a particular request.
There was no request. There was really just
Okay.
an inquiry as to why these regulations existed.
Okay,
So we did some investigation to find out why, and I wanted to bring it before the Traffic Commission because it was addressed to the Traffic Commission. So
okay.
just so everybody knew why
Okay.
those exist.
Members of the committee, any questions regarding this discussion? This is not a voting situation, as there's no request, but. All right, hearing none. Thank you, Director Renfret.
Welcome.
Moving on. All right, now for the big ticket item of the evening. So item number 12, this is the safety proposal for Holland Street. Just to kind of recap, we had a regular meeting on September 7th to kind of discuss the new safety plan for Holland Street. That was not a voting situation. We had 2 special meetings. We had a meeting on September 21st, which Mayor Valentine provided her comments regarding this initiative on Holland Street. We also had more background and detail on the draft. We also had the opportunity for a very, lively and well-run public comment section and folks. And we received those public comments up until October 6th to continue to kind of rework and draft this plan. On our October 6th meeting, we were informed that due to the public comment, some of the plan was revised, and that we have opportunities to respond to the feedback that is posted on the website regarding folks' concern and support for this particular area. So tonight, this item is actually brought to the table to vote on this committee. So Director Rawson, if you can kind of give us a broad summary of where we're landing today on Holland Street, based on, the incredible public feedback that we received on this. And I want to also just thank everyone again for their due diligence and their honesty and their willing to be invested in this particular project. And thank the committee for your patience as we, add extra meetings to make sure that the public feels heard and we can make some decisions tonight. So Director Rawson, summary, please, of where we are and how we got here.
Thank you, Chair. I think you covered the sequence of regular and special meetings that this commission has held very, very well. I think the value that our staff can add tonight is to describe the work that we have done in response to the most recent deliberation of this traffic commission. So Chair, I'm joined by Adam Polinsky, our project manager, and Adam can bring up a screen share if it's okay, Jackie, to show a couple of specific changes that we've made in response to some feedback from constituents, from stakeholders, and from elected officials. As a preview, one of them, Chair, will be adding additional accessible parking on the main line of Holland, as well as on side streets. A second area of improvement is enhanced loading zone regulations proposed on side streets. And a third one is in response to some resident feedback, as well as Ward 7 Councilor Judy Pineda-Neufeld had requested that the city consider additional resident-focused regulations on the block of Holland that is furthest from the business districts in both Teal and Davis. And so as Adam walks through this sequence that you all have seen several times, I would ask that Adam calls your attention to those specific changes, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions that you may have. So again, thank you for all of your hard work and long hours. Thank you for asking hard questions, giving us homework assignments. We have all learned from this process, and our statements a moment ago about Ball Square, I believe, are also relevant here, Chair. This staff, this administration, our interdepartmental group remains committed to working with all stakeholders to ensure access, to ensure customer service, safety, and sustainability. If there are elements that we have additional questions on, whether tonight or in the future, we remain your partners and the community's partners to identify issues and rectify them to the best of our abilities. So with that, if it's okay, Chair, I'd love to introduce Adam to take you through those latest changes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Through the chair, I'll be brief because we've already gone through this presentation a few times at this point, and we, while we have made some tweaks, I can make sure I just highlight those rather than go through everything. And I will just highlight where things have not changed as well. So on the section of Curtis Street that we will be extending the northbound bike lane into, there are no changes from our original proposal. So we're still requesting metered parking with resident permit parking overnight, and then a new loading zone where there's currently no parking anytime. Moving down onto Holland itself, here we have the existing condition. And there are currently no changes on this plan from the proposal that we showed last Thursday. The accessible parking space was a new addition last Thursday, based from the original concept. However, that has not changed in the last week. Moving forward, or moving down the corridor even further out of Teal from Claremont to Elmwood. We do have a change. We made one change after last Thursday's special traffic commission meeting, which was to take what had been proposed as 7 metered parking spaces in front of the tab and converting that to residential permit parking only at all times of day. Again, just reiterating Brad's mention of some of the concerns that the council had heard, that there was still a need for some residential permit parking on Holland itself. And so that was a response to that feedback. And so we made that change on Friday in advance of submitting this to the commission. Continuing down the corridor between Elmwood and Jay, we have a similar request and a similar change where we had originally proposed 3 metered parking spaces near Paulina on the north side of Holland, and instead are requesting, and that was based on last Thursday's proposal, in the agenda items for tonight, the request is instead to revert that to residential permit parking only, again, to accommodate some of those residential needs in addition to the needs of our businesses.
Pardon me, Adam, what agenda item is, what number is that you're referring to?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it is one of the items in item 12 that will be voted on tonight. So after, how about I go through the presentation, and then if we want, we could find it afterwards once Jackie.
I just want to make sure it's clear to the public what that is.
Yeah. Okay. And then working the rest of the way down the corridor, we have not made any additional changes since last Thursday's meeting on the last sections of the corridor. The accessible parking space was presented at last Thursday's meeting. That again was not in the original proposal, but that was one of the things we heard after our first round of feedback. And then the rest will be metered parking on the north side. And then all of the changes closest to Davis Square have already been approved as of the July Traffic Commission meeting. So we have not been discussing or making any changes to this section throughout this process. So just an updated graphic here for everyone on the number of spaces. And then finally, the only side street change that we made since last Thursday's meeting, we had originally requested 30 minutes parking space, I believe, on Paulina Street, sort of anticipating that that was a need that the parking department had. However, in a follow-up conversation with them, they would prefer that that stay as the loading zone that it currently is. That would better accommodate them, their needs for both loading, delivery, and quick pickup and drop off for customers. And with
And Chair, while this diagram is up, if it's okay, I would also like to call the commission's attention to a change that was made earlier in this process, but something that we've heard about from business owner in the Thorndike Irving area. Thorndike Street is proposed to have about 40 feet of curb on each side of the street changed. On the east side closest to Davis Square, it would be proposed as a full-time loading zone. On the west side, the Teal Square side, closest to Holland, it would be proposed as metered parking. And again, that's in response to feedback from the business community. So just wanted to make sure that the commissioners noticed that element of this diagram. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Austin. So just for clarification, just because I want to make sure that we're fully transparent and understanding, I just would like what actually letter item that refers to for the changes, so people are clear. So I don't know if the Thorndike one was Z or AA. We have the Pauline Street and then the residential parking. I just want to make sure it's clear to the public, so we're not. I want to make sure we're very transparent about changes made. So if we can take some time to identify the changes and let me know what item numbers are referring to. on the agenda?
I can find those now. Alternatively, Jackie, we could pull up if you have the agenda on hand and could share your screen, we could also we could do it that way. So it is somewhere in this section. So item C is in reference to the change in front of Hodgkins Curtin Park. So this request is describing that we had originally that the Traffic Commission we had requested and the Traffic Commission had approved a different set of regulations based on our original proposal for Holland Street. We would request that those items are superseded because that's actually, we had not implemented those yet. So it's not currently what's out there today. And the request instead would be to have a bus stop, a loading zone, and then the residential permit parking that I had just discussed. So that is in reference to item C. So that was a change from last Thursday's meeting. And item D is the next item. And so that is the change in front of the tab. So rather than the metered parking, we're requesting residential permit parking. And then there is no item for Paulina Street in this agenda because we're no longer requesting a change.
Okay. So there's just two changes.
That's correct.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns from the committee? My understanding, before we take a motion to vote to approve or deny on this item, is an additional item to request to waive the advertising period for these regulation changes. I want to make sure that the committee understands that's included with this vote. So hearing that, are there any comments, questions, or concerns before we put a motion to approve or deny item number 12, safety proposal for Holland Street? Hearing none. May I get a motion to approve or deny the item number 12, safety proposal for Holland Street, including to request to waive the advertising period for these regulation changes?
Chair Lathan, I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
To approve? May I get a roll call vote for item number 12, the safety proposal for Holland Street? And also the additional item to request to waive the advertising period for these regulation changes. May I get a roll call vote to approve, please?
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel. Sorry, could you repeat that, Lieutenant Rymel?
No.
And Sean Tierney?
Yes.
That's 3 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstain.
All right, item number 12, including the additional item to waive the advertising period for these regulation changes, has been approved. Thank you guys for this incredible meeting and process. And thank you to the public for your honesty and your due diligence as well. May I get a motion to, I don't see any other items unless I'm missing anything, Jackie? That's the last item? Okay,
No, Chair, that was the last item.
great. May I get a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Lena Webb
Sorry, I'll make the motion to adjourn. Thank you.
and Sean Tierney, can I get a
Okay.
motion? All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys very much. May I get a roll call vote to adjourn this meeting?
Yes. Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Sean Tierney,
Yes.
And that's 4 yes and 1 abstain.
Thank you very much and have a groovy evening. And thank you for your time. Be safe.